State, Mr. Chairman, I just don't think it's appropriate to be asking, these representatives of the PGA to make assurances in terms of what they will and will not do. Obviously, they have to assure us that they'll follow the law. But exactly, how they operate, they're a private organization. They have to deal with a complex set of issues in terms of running a league for the benefit of their players and, I would say, for fans. I think things have gotten muddled here. First of all, the PGA never would have sought
that's correct.
additional funding. You didn't need it. The only reason you're looking for funding from the PIF is an accommodation for PIF to have a seat at the table in running golf. If you don't offer them that seat, they'll take their $700 billion, a portion of that, and they will just keep picking off players one by one until they destroy the game of golf at the highest competitive level. I mean, Mr. Dunn, isn't that how you see it?
Thank you, Senator. It's very important that we didn't decide one day we'll go over to Riyadh and bring these guys in here.
No, you were highly reluctant to reach out to them.
We got to the table because of the existence of LIV. They own 100% of LIV. They have billions of dollars in LIV. They have no economic constraint. They have no time constraint. So when you deal with a normal investor, they want to return quickly. They have a long horizon. I don't exactly know all their thought process, but they view it differently. They sued us. We did not decide to sue them. They took our players. Their entire existence is based on taking more of our players. That's just a reality. We're not complaining about it. That's what it is.
Well, first of all, you'd be justified in complaining about it. Okay, I mean, you faced an existential threat. You faced this for 2 years. You engaged in litigation, spent, about $50 million just trying to defend yourself, and all of a sudden there was a way out of this.
Potentially.
There was a truce because of some favorable court hearings or rulings, but there was no guarantee that you were going to continue to win court rulings. You could have lost. Okay, and I'll answer Senator Marshall's question from what I know. It seems like you've achieved in a really bad situation between a rock and a hard place. You actually carved out a win-win situation. Again, that's not to speak to the sport washing aspect of this and the concerns. And again, Mr. Dunn, if anybody has a concern of, what happened on 9/11, it's you. You lost, again, 40% of your colleagues, your mentor in this. So we need to recognize the reality you face that you still face. There's no guarantee. There's no deal. There's no guarantee you're going to have a deal. If you don't get a deal, you'll have the Saudis willing to spend billions and billions, and at some point in time, players that were loyal to the PGA Tour will say, this isn't going away. I'm a chump for not accepting $10 million, $50 million, $100 million to go over to this league, and we'll just leave the PGA Tour behind. And now, rather than playing for the purity of the competition, for the title, it's just about money. It's like I make $10 million whether I win or not just by showing up. That destroys the game of golf. I mean, that's my perspective of this. I mean, can you tell me where I'm wrong or where I'm right?
Senator, golf is a little different. You gotta show up and dig it out of the ground. And Senator Blumenthal, I guess that quote I said, it takes a lot to turn down a lot of money. I think it was, if I recall, I think it was in reference to Tiger Woods. And he's the example of that. He digs it out of the ground. It's hard. It's hard to say no to all that. And we have a lot of unbelievably gutty guys that love the game that have said no, and we want to support them every way we can, one way or another. And we'll be there and we'll do that.
By the way, it sounds like the PIF, reading the documents behind this, that they were recognizing the players that stayed true to the PGA Tour, and they're going to figure out some way to compensate that. I mean, I saw that in the documents. They were obviously aware of that, correct? So again,
Yes.
I'm running out of time, but I want to underscore, my concern about holding this hearing. And I could say a whole lot more, but I don't want to queer the deal. This is a delicate delegation. There's nothing certain about this. Again, from what I see, out of an awful situation, Mr. Dunn, by you reaching out and, the other people negotiating this are getting about as good a deal as we can expect that is about as win-win situation. Recognizing what Mr. Al Rumayyan was looking for, a seat at the table, some saying how golf operates, but no control. You retain that control. So, my suggestion, and again, I don't say that Congress doesn't have a role to play. We talked about that in terms of antitrust, and maybe once there's a deal, to come back and take a look at this. But I mean, for the time being, Mr. Chairman, I would recommend we give these guys the space to negotiate something. Yeah, I think their motivations are pure. They're trying to preserve this game. They're trying to do right by their players. They're trying to do right by this country. Give them the space to negotiate a deal, and then if we have a problem with it, we can come back and look at it later. But Mr. Price, Mr. Dunn, do you have any comments on that?
I agree with what you said, Senator Johnson. We're trying to negotiate a deal that preserves our leadership role in professional golf so that we can fulfill our mission for our players and charity. And if we cannot do that as we negotiate the deal, we won't recommend a definitive agreement for approval.
And again, if you don't get a deal, the Saudis will just keep pouring billions into this. Over time, those players have showed the loyalty to the PGA Tour will at some point in time say, I got to provide for a family. Mr. Dunn, you talked to me in my office. Golf, you're 2 bad swings away from losing the confidence to be able to compete at that high level. Pretty tenuous. So all of a sudden, a deal with the LIV could be pretty attractive.
Senator, there's no denying that, and some players that have expressed that's a reality. It's hard. Professional golf's very hard, and if we're able to get to an agreement, definitive, and candidly, I appreciate Senator Blumenthal's concerns. We're all concerned about the same thing, and with that good guidance, it'll help us in the negotiation know what's important or not. But if we do get to an agreement, the players that stayed are gonna. We want to do everything we can for them, and we want to do everything we can for the game, and we want to do everything for the sponsors and the charities, and that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're really trying to do.
Well, again, I appreciate your challenge. I appreciate what you're up against, and I just wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You be successful. Thank you.